Hello, sports fans. This is George with Custom Tide Flies and Guide Service. And this is a tutorial on the CT Rattlin EP black and purple brushy. This is what it looks like when it's done. Excuse me. The hook is a Gamakatsu SL12S in 6/0. The thread is Danville Flymaster 210 denier in black for the back part and thin mono for the front part. The tail is EP 3D Minnow fibers in purple, EP Sparkle Flash in crystal blue, and Hedron Flashaboo in pearl. The rattle is Hareline rattle, medium, encased in a Hareline easy body small, and there's a tutorial on that on this YouTube channel. The body is EP 3D Minnow fibers in black, EP Sparkle in red, EP Anadromous brush 2.5 inch in purple. You could take 2 turns with that. Then EP Streamer brush 2.5 inches in black, 2 turns with that. And then EP Anadromous brush in 2.5 inch in black and finish. And then the eyes are 10 millimeter 3D eyes in yellow. So, excuse me. We're going to build this, get mounted, get tied in about halfway up the shank. See, that happens to everybody. Go. Right to the top of the bend. The fly is 6.5 inches long. So first off, we're gonna trim. You got a little clump of EP 3D minnow fibers, and you want to be able to see through it. You're gonna trim off 3/4 inches, and that's actually going to go on first this time. Start that on the far side. Just let that spin around. And you're going to bring this under. And you're going to trim off take a hank, same thing, you want to be able to see through it. Yeah. You're going to trim this in half. Lay the other piece off to the side. This goes on top. Let it spin around a little bit. And then this gets folded across the top. And see, that's just a little bit longer. Then you're going to take some EP Sparkle. Then you got your piece where you trimmed it in half. And that goes right on top, not folded. And then you got your hollow flash or your Flashaboo, which I think I forgot to mention in the ingredients. Don't worry, I'll include the ingredients in the description on this when I'm done with it. Fold that in half. Catch that on the top of the thread. That goes across the top. And then finally your 6.5 inch piece. That goes across the top. And you got your rattle. You want to give that rattle a squeeze to make sure that it's good and set up in that easy body. And you're going to want to trim the little frayed pieces off so that it's kind of smooth going in there. You're going to take a little head cement and you got your rattle. Go around the back a couple times. And you're going to cover that in thread. Trim that off. Paint that with head cement. And you're going to leave that sit off to cure. Once it's cured, it'll look like this. Now, the next thing you're going to do here is you're going to take a hank of purple, just like before. You want to be able to see through it. Trim that off, and you're going to cut that into 3 2.5-inch sections. Got the red EP Sparkle, or you could use red Wing and Flash. You can use red Angel Hair. You just need a little, not a lot. Probably help if I tied in. Now I'm using my thin mono. Take that all the way up to the back of the rattle. You're going to pull your rattle up. And you got your little bit of sparkle. You're going to put that on the thread, and it slides in behind the rattle. Then you take one of the 2.5-inch sections, fray your ends out, find the middle, start off on the far side, pull this over to the top. All right, and then you're going to pull your rattle up. Take 2 wraps behind the rattle, and that pulls all that stuff back behind the bend. All right, next up is your black. Trim a hank that you can see through. You're going to cut 3 3/4 of an inch off of that. Now we're going to start hiding the rattle. Want that kind of spread out. All right. Take one of your 2.5-inch second section that you trimmed off, and that goes on similarly. Now you got ready for your another section of black. Make sure you can see through it. Trim that off. Fray the ends out. And that goes on top. So fold that over. Just like if you were doing a peanut butter. Now your third piece of purple. Now you're going to take purple EP Anadromous brush, find the shortest end on the wire, a little head cement, and you take 2 turns, just crimp that. There's 1, there's 2. Get a couple security wraps, take your wire brush, and brush that back. And you're going to split the top, and you got that section that you trimmed off, that 3.5-inch section that you trimmed off, and that goes right on the top. Now you're going to take your EP streamer brush, 2.5-inch black, give it a little paint, and you got 2 wraps with this. Put a crimp, make sure you stroke your fibers back. There's 1, 2. Make sure you push that little piece of wire nub down. Give it a stroke. And then you got your Anadromous brush in black. The black EP streamer brush has little flecks of red flash in it, and the Anadromous brush has little flecks of purple in it. Give it a paint, and you're going to take this all the way to the front. Give it a crimp. These wraps don't need to be touching. You want them about 1/8 of an inch apart. Same thing with the other two colors. They don't need to be touching. That little space in between the wires leaves room for the material, so it doesn't get entrapped as easily. When you get up behind the eye, you're going to take an extra turn. Stroke those fibers back. Put your head on. Get a 5 and 3 whip. You need the 2 whips because this mono is slippery and you don't want it to come undone before you get your um, resin or head cement or whatever it is you're going to use to close your knot off with. Brush that back. And take a black. Well, it's a good thing I did have coffee in there. My UV emitter went in my coffee cup that I had coffee in. So we'll see if that works now. Color that head with a Sharpie. And then paint that over with UV resin. And then take your coffee soaked UV emitter. Okay. And you're going to dismount. Take your comb. I usually put mine on my leg. And you just want to comb those fibers out so that they're spaced out like that. Check your length. And then I use a pair of barber scissors. Then I think I need to put some oil on. And see this little hump right here? You just want to kind of taper that off. And you got this thick part of the purple right here. You're going to taper that off. And you're going to thin it a little bit. Just kind of eyeball it. You don't want to get into the head if you can help it. Taper that tail a little bit. You want to be careful that you don't lose any length. All right, good. And remount. Now it's time for the eyes. All right, like I said, now we're ready for the eyes. So the eyes are 10 millimeter 3D sticker eyes, which I get on eBay, to be honest with you. And I'm using Zap Goo, and I always take my bodkin and run it down through the spout, make sure that it's clear. So rotate the fly over so that you can see it, and you're going to try to spread that head a little bit, and then you feel down the body of the fly to where you find where the rattle starts, and then come back up towards the eye by about half an inch or so. And that's where you put your first drop of glue. You place it on there. You want to be careful you don't get that glue on your fingers because it'll cause problems later while you're trying to build these things. I got a little tool here that I made with cross stitch needle and a piece of foam. And you want to hold that eye on there, and then when you go to lift the tool off, you just give it a spin. And I got UV resin in this little squirt bottle. Seal the eye against the brush. Take your tool, push down on the center of the eye, and then hit it with the light. Then you got UV resin with the brush. So you just paint the eye. A little piece of fur in there. So it's sealed. Just want to make sure that these things don't come off. And the whole point of having the eye on there is, to get the fish's attention. All right, there's one side done. Now I'll do the other side. Now this side's going to be a little easier. You don't have to find the spot because you can just feel on the far side where the eye is. Put your drop of glue. Put your eye on there. Now, the original pattern called for 7.5 millimeter post eyes, but I like putting bigger eyes on things. So I decided to go with the 10 millimeter. Okay, and then seal that up. Paint that shut. You're going to stroke everything back, and you're going to see if you got any um, things sticking out past the eye, which typically you will. You just trim that out off. There you have it. EP, the CT Rattlin EP Black and Purple Brushy Fly. Hope this tutorial was helpful for you. Please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. You will find this and other wonderful flies and tutorials on my webpage at www.custom-tide.com. CUSTOM-TIED.com. Have a splash, don't forget the dash. Happy tying!